Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I'm Raymond Ater and we're coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. Let's take a look at the headlines. To focus on need to add value to Boy Child as International Day of the Boy Child is marked today. Plus, Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelenska asks South Korea for non-lethal military hardware. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks indeed for joining us. And we begin this afternoon with the sites from the 36 state attorney generals. The newly reconstituted council, which will be inaugurated in Abuja, also has 17 Nigeria Bar Association nominees as members. Ngige disclosed the reappointment while addressing the valedictory meeting of the Council of Legal Education at the Wari headquarters of the Nigerian Law School. According to him, the reappointment is for another 4-year tenure. Away from that, Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika has affirmed that the national carrier, Nigeria Air, will begin operations before the present administration winds down. Sirika made this known while briefing newsmen as part of the administration's roadmap, adding that operators in civil aviation will have access to aviation equipment at an affordable rate within the country. Beneficiaries and the procurement of taxiway lighting system in Port Harcourt, Lagos, and of the 10-story headquarters of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, located in Victoria Island Education and Water Resources, revealed this to journalists after an extraordinary meeting of the Federal Executive Council presided over by Vice President Yemi Osibanjo at the State House, Abuja. She added that the Life Skills Acquisition Program had been on since the inception of the N-Power program in 2016, and the third batch of beneficiary comprehensive guide for the incoming administration of Bola Tinubu on how to manage the removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol. It also insisted that the government of the outgoing President, Muhammadu Buhari, had done excellently well in the management of fuel subsidy, despite revealing at the unveiling of the 2022 to 2026 strategic plan of the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative in Abuja. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said the federal government had been following the debate around subsidy removal by citizens' impact on the poor and vulnerable in society, especially the workers. In the meantime, the federal government has started initiatives to bring in private capital fund to its energy transition and climate change agenda. Now, to foster this, the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority (NSIA) and the National Council on Climate of the NSIA, Aminu Umar Sadiq, said a core pillar of the environmental, social, and governance strategy is to actively build strategic partnerships with relevant organizations to support climate change actions and Nigeria's energy transition ambitions of achieving net zero emissions by 2060 commitments. Meanwhile, the federal government has described the bill currently being considered by the National Assembly seeking to restrict the migration of Nigerian documents from journalists shortly after the extraordinary Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osibanjo at the State House, Abuja. Responding to a threat by resident doctors to embark on a 5-day warning strike over perceived attempts to ground medical and dental graduates nationwide for 5 years before being granted a practicing license, Ngige said the bill negates extant labor laws. It further added that the consideration by the National Assembly runs contrary to the laws of the land that have established the progression in the practice of medicine. Private universities across the country, following a memorandum presented by the Ministry of Education. A briefing journalist after a special meeting, the Minister of Education, Adamu, said with the approval, there are now 72 private universities in the country. Adamu stated that the approval was given considering on security, the Department of State Services, DSS, has pledged to work with other security agencies to ensure the country is safe during the transition period. This is coming after a joint operation of the operatives of the DSS, Nigerian Army, and the Nigerian Police to arrest of a total of 5 terrorists in Kaduna and Kano State. A statement by the spokesperson for the DSS, Peter Finaya, disclosed that a terrorist with a suicide jacket reportedly blew himself up, while 3 were arrested and 2 suicide jackets were recovered from them. Finaya added that items recovered upon a search of the group's accommodation were 2 suicide jackets, 1 AK-47 rifle. Government employees, Noge, a trade union representative of workers in Nigeria, president of the union, Olatunji Ambali, made the declaration in an interview with newsmen in Abuja. Reports say State House of Assembly voted the bill seeking to grant financial and administrative autonomy to local governments. But the bill seeks to abrogate the state-local government's joint account of state as the International Day of the Boy Child is celebrated today with emphasis on the well-being of the boy child. Society has been advised to focus on their needs to be happy, healthy, and valued in the family and the community. While speaking with Spectrum Television, the founder and the president growing to a more tender age, saying that every boy child needs a role model to survive in the present economy where things are difficult.
I would want to be very specific about the boy child now is going through. To this society, it's not like when we grew up. I was born in the 60s, but boy child or children, they just have to have role models. But in a society that has now been plagued with what I would call insatiable quest for wealth, material things, people flaunt wealth without taking away parenthood from the children, and unfortunately, it's not even growing better. So we even have little boys becoming breadwinners, little boys becoming warlords. So the boy child has been a victim of people how they talk about what the boy child goes through.
Well, it further lamented the present insatiable quest for wealth by the boy child as a setback stopping them from achieving their goal in the family and society. O'Connor further said the boy child has been a victim of humanity, where protection given to the girl child is needed for a boy child to help him thrive. It does call on the government, family and society to address the challenges that boys face and promote the empowerment of the boy child.
The mentality of if you are not measured by the car you drive, you are not measured by the house you live, you are not worth anything. You must have a fat bank account. It doesn't matter how you get it. You must be in the corridors of power. One of our greatest undoing as a people has to do with the advent of democracy this time around. Not this very dispensation, but since it started. Yahoo everywhere. And what motivates them? What motivates them is the wealth politicians flaunt without doing anything. You now talk about courtism. Even though girls are in there too, but majority are boys. And what is courtism? For me, courtism doesn't have to be a secret.
Well, the International Day of the Boy Child is celebrated every year on May 16 to raise awareness on the need to protect the boy from harmful societal influences similar to saving the girl child. Let's go to Africa now, where Sudan military leader Abdul Burhan has reportedly sacked the General of Police. A report say no reason was given for the former police chief's dismissal. There had allegedly been similar degrees dismissing the governor of the central bank and 2 foreign ministry diplomats. Well, according to reports, since the fighting erupted on the 15th of April, the police have been inactive in conflict-hit areas, including the capital Khartoum. The court has reportedly sentenced opposition leader Rachid Ghannouchi to a year in prison. Reports say the another party leader is a critic of President Said Kais and has been detained since last month after being arrested for allegedly plotting against state security and incitement. And now on the foreign scene, Ukraine's First Lady Olena Zelensky has requested non-lethal military hardware as she met with President Yoon Suk-yeol in Seoul today. Ukraine's presidential spokesperson Lee Dong-woon said the First Lady is asking South Korea to provide non-lethal military hardware, including mine detectors, demining equipment, and first aid vehicles. She also expressed hope that South Korean companies would participate in the rebuilding process of Ukraine. Since the war broke out in Ukraine, South Korea has firmly maintained its stance not to provide lethal weapons to a warring country. Yoon, in response, said that South Korea would actively support Ukraine in cooperation with NATO countries and the international community. Said that Kyiv was being hit by an exceptional dense attack today. According to the head of the Kyiv City Military Administration, the attack involved a complex assault from multiple directions with cruise missiles and probably ballistic missiles. The PUBCO said that the event is the beginning of May. The military official added that most damage was reported in Somolyansky, where a non-residential building and several vehicles had caught fire. And you're watching Spectrum TV News at 2. Still to come. Novak Djokovic beats Cameron Norrie to reach quarterfinals in the 2023 Italian Open. To stay with us. Welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. And now on the business news, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, has said it is important to conduct a holistic review of the country's international tax policies to have a framework that will increase tax revenue in the country. The CITN said the evolution of digital economy in recent years had created opportunities for tax authorities to do forms under one-off contract was increasing. It also added that existing laws and institutional systems, particularly tax and social security system, were not well adapted to the new situation, even though there was significant improvement in terms of awareness of taxing digital businesses. Still in business, the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) says Nigeria's inflation rate has increased for the 4th consecutive month this year to 22.22% in April from the 22.04% recorded in March. Now, according to the Commodity Price Index report published by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), the April 2023 inflation rate, when compared to the March 2023 headline inflation rate, showed an increase of 0.18 percentage points. While the NBS noted that the percentage change in the average commodity price index for the 12 months ending April 2023 over the average of the CPI for the previous 12 months was 20.82%, showing a 4.37% increase compared to the 16.45% recorded in April 2022. Well, the data also showed that key sectors that drove and footwear as well as housing. And now in health, the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Amina Mohammed, has decried the slow pace of the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals in Nigeria. Mohammed made this known at the induction program, for was optimistic that the situation can be salvaged, tasking the governors to focus on the electorate. She added that the only way to build a more cohesive nation and a more harmonious world is to deliver on bettering people's services and better opportunity. The organization WHO has warned against the use of non-sugar sweeteners (NNS) for weight loss or to reduce the risks of non-communicable diseases. The global health body, in its new guideline on the NSS, stated that the recommendation was based on findings of a systematic review of available evidence, noting that the findings suggested that the use of NSS does not confer any long-term benefit in reduction of body fat in adults or children. Now, according to the guideline, the results of the review also suggest that there may be a potential undesirable effect from long-term use of the NSS, identifying some to be increased risks of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and adult mortality. Cameron Norrie. The Serb, who will be replaced as world number 1 by Carlos Alcaraz next week, won 6-3, 6-4 in Rome. Djokovic will be facing 7th seed Holger Rune on the quarterfinal, with Alexis Poprin coming up next. Now, reports say having delayed the start of the match for a few minutes while he was in the treatment room, Djokovic wasted no time in racing into a 3-0 lead and was not even held up by an early collision with the clock at the side of the courts. We're still into Premier League relegation. Jurgen Klopp's side had won their past 7 games to bolster their push for a top 4 finish and now lie a point behind Newcastle and Manchester United. The Reds scored twice in the space of 3 first-half minutes through the same combination, Mohamed Salah twice feeding Jones, who finished confidently to claim his first Premier League double. Reports say it should have been 3-0 before halftime, but home goalkeeper Daniel Ivan kicked to curl a sublime finish into the top corner. On entertainment, Nigerian singer Joseph Akinwale, popularly known as Joeboy, is set to release his highly anticipated sophomore album. Reports say the album, titled Body and Soul, has a track list of 15 songs, including previously released songs like Body and Soul, Contour, and Duffel Bag. The Nigerian singer features a number of artists, including CK and Oxlade, both of whom have recorded huge international success. Now, according to reports, the Body and Soul album is set for release on May 17. Popularly known as Arya Star, has been included in this year's 21 Under-21 ranking by American Music Magazine Board. This was made known in the 2023 list released via the Billboard website, where Arya Star made the chart by garnering 138.2 million on-demand streams in the US alone. And with that, we've come to the end of the news. Many thanks indeed for joining us. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media platforms and do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website. Just search spectrumtv.ng. And you've been watching the news at 2. Thanks for joining us. I'm Raymond Ita. Good afternoon.